everybody. Hopefully you all are having a wonderful, fantabulous day. For those of you all that are new, I am Bribourne, and today I wanted to talk to you about a hair story. So since my rebranding when I shifted from Afro Story to Bribourne, I have been very adamant about this no longer being a space where I am only going to talk about hair and natural beauty. However, this story kind of intersects with the two, both my Maroon culture as well as talking about hair. And so it basically took place at one of the Queen Nanny Day celebrations that I attended in person. And this was actually one of the festivals where we were actually welcoming for the very first time Igbos, specifically some Igbo royals and their delegates. And one of these Igbos actually was a DNA relative of me and my family. So he has been wanting to connect to the Jamaican Maroon people that he had learned he actually has connections to ancestrally. So we were able to welcome him in his delegation there. And I humbly accepted the charge of introducing him on Queen Nanny Day. So to make sure that I was doing the best I could to represent him and the culture well, and this bridge between our Maroon people as well as our Igbo relatives, I wanted to dress the part. So I had my Isiagu skirt on, my mermaid style skirt on. I had my corals, a lot of corals adorning my neck, my wrist, my ears. I even had my coral inspired crown that you may see Igbo women wearing. Those of you all that are not in the Igbo culture, those of you all that are in the Igbo culture, I'm probably just talking y'all ear off about something you already know. But you know, your girl was trying to look the part. I was trying to make sure that I represented well. And I also did have hair extensions in. I had, I'm trying to remember exactly what type of hair extensions it was. I don't really remember, but it was like this auburn, deep auburn type of color. And it was long extensions that I was wearing. And I didn't think anything of it. I wear a lot of protective styles. If those of you all that have been on my YouTube channel when I first started it off many years ago, I talked a lot and I advocated a lot for natural hair being in protective styles. So I'm not someone that's against wearing weaves or wigs or things like that. However, I wore it that day, and as I was making my way to the stage, we were in like the Asafo field, and I was making my way toward the field where the stage was. And as I was walking, I kid you not, a Maroon elder man, he flagged me down and he stopped me. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not thinking anything of it. Kind of like, you know, I've been saying hi to everyone, trying to get to know, you know, those in the community that I am related to, as well as community members in general. So I'm always smiling, waving, trying to meet new people. So I didn't think anything of it when an elder stopped me. And he stopped me, y'all. And he told me, he says, hello. And I was like, hi, hello, nice to meet you. And then he proceeded to basically give me the rundown of how I am a very beautiful young lady, but I do not need to do all of this. I'm paraphrasing because again, this was like about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, right? He basically explained to me that you're a very beautiful woman, but you do not need to wear all of these weaves. You don't need to do all this makeup. You really don't need to do that. You're beautiful just the way you naturally are. And me, at that moment, I'm trying to put on like my anthropology hat. This conversation did not go south. So for those of you all that are looking for drama, you won't find that here. I do not disrespect my elders. So I received what he was saying, but I also wanted to let him know I normally do wear my hair natural. I've been natural for most of my life. And I was a little bit defensive. Obviously, I'm trying to defend why I have this weave in my head. And then I explained to him, I said, you know, I definitely understand what you're saying, but sometimes if we're wearing our hair in its natural state and we choose to wear protective style, it may not always be that it's an outward sign of self-hating, because he did say that this is like basically a physical manifestation of me being self-hating. Like, that's what he said. And I had to explain to him my perspective that, you know, wearing natural hair is something that I choose to do because I love my natural hair. And then also wearing my hair in protective styling, I choose to do that, like to kind of give my natural hair a break. But he wasn't hearing none of that. He was basically reading me for Phil, letting me know that all of that is a representation of me having self-hatred, as well as these internal remnants of me wanting to have and embody and emulate a European ideal. Yes, my Maroon elder, who I didn't even know, had no problem reading me. But, and I even tried to tell him, anthropology hat on, I was like, you know, we've always had hair extensions and different things to our hair. And I tried to bring up like civilizations of the Nile Valley, like where they had, you know, wigs and weaves, that it was very popularized and a commonplace thing, as well as something that was embodied by the royal class and the priestly class, because they had to shave their bodies, you know, daily, the priests of that era. So I tried to let him know, like, you know, from the most earliest civilizations, we wore weaves and extensions and things like that. And you see this also practiced, like, as far as like the dyeing and the coloring of the hair, you see that being practiced a lot. And I brought up the Himba women, and he was like, yeah, you don't need to do it. I was just like, and you know, that whole conversation, it ended up, long story short, it led to me actually admitting to myself, and I think I even voiced it to him, that, yeah, you know, I thought it would be easier to don my Igbo attire in the crown with like my hair as stretched as possible, because if I had my hair like in its Afro textured state, I wouldn't be able to wear it the way I wanted to wear it. Like, I had to eventually admit that I'm thinking about the rain, I'm thinking about all the humidity, and it's just like, in Maroon country, let's be clear, in Maroon country, it's gonna rain, okay? It's going to rain, it's going to be humid, it's going to be hot, the weather is unpredictable, although my dad will make it very clear he can read the rain. He taught me one day, we were looking at the mountains, and he can tell from the fog of the mountains exactly when it was going to rain, but that's a whole nother conversation. The point is, me being someone, again, I've been Afro story for, you know, up until this year when I decided to call myself online Bribourne, someone that's a huge advocate for natural hair, natural expression, beauty, you know, beautification practices that are African inspired. That's been me. But I still, even then, in the midst of all that, had to humble myself and recognize that, you know, you didn't want to put all that time and effort into doing twist outs of your hair. You didn't want your hair to get whipped up the humidity, and all that work that you put into it goes down the drain. So you wanted to take an easier route where you can actually wear a weave, so you didn't have to think about that. You didn't have to worry about that. I had to be honest with myself. That was one of the reasons. And the elder, who didn't know me from the beginning to the end, immediately read that from me. Take it how y'all want. I'm just saying, y'all, that those Maroon elders, the Maroon elders that are plugged in and that genuinely want to help younger generation know thyself, they definitely will read you and humble you. And it's the best thing to do is just receive it and learn from it, and don't be defensive. So yes. So what is the moral of this story? The moral of this story, you all, is that, one, this natural hair journey is never ending. I have found myself trying to reinvent what does it mean for me to love my natural hair in all of its different manifestations, as well as in all of these different environments. Because my hair takes on a different flavor based upon where I am, based upon the humidity or lack thereof, the cold, all of that. So the moral really is to love yourself. And if an elder is voicing this to you, don't be defensive, but take a moment and actually listen and really take that as a moment of self-reflection, which I did. So the next time I visited my fatherland, I actually did wear my hair natural. I wore it in twists and beads, and I was totally fine. I enjoyed myself. Am I saying that I never won't wear natural hair extensions again or weave again if I visit my fatherland? I'm not going to say that. But I will say that I'm a lot less concerned about things like that, because that's really not being preoccupied with the physical when you're trying to reconnect to your culture, to your heritage. That shouldn't take precedence, and that shouldn't be what the focus is. And that's what I took from it. What I took from it is I'm enough. I'm enough. My beauty is enough. My appearance is enough. And that shouldn't be what I preoccupy myself with, what the focus is. There's other things that I need to study. And that's the thing. That was one of the many lessons that I am finding myself indirectly being in session for. That's the best way of saying it, because I am a Maroon woman that was born in Florida, right? And I will tell you unequivocally that I have had to admit to myself, I may have a doctorate in anthropology, but that doesn't necessarily translate into me being an expert of my heritage. If anything, I've had to unlearn a lot of things that I may have learned in school, and I may have had to dig deeper and to explore things from the perspective of people within my community, people within my family, those that are culture bearers, knowledge preservers, to learn and sit at their feet. And some people may not have that disposition, being credentialed up, so to speak. But me, I'm a woman that has 5 degrees, and I can tell you none of them, I repeat, I have 5 degrees, I think. 5 degrees, and none of them have truly prepared me for this ancestral journey of knowing who I am. I may have, throughout that educational journey, been gently guided, and I talk about that if you haven't seen my Queen Nanny Day speech, where I actually introduce the Igbos. I talk about how I've been gently guided by a force that I may not understand into the educational and ultimate career path that I took. But it doesn't mean that by getting those degrees that I'm automatically an authority on my culture. If anything, that was the beginning of me learning about my people and my culture and my ancestry and my spiritual beliefs and all of those things. And I can tell you unequivocally, I can tell you that the teachers that are genuine, that really want to educate and uplift, they have, when I was ready, they came into my life. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for encountering that elder. I don't know if he's on social media, but I'm truly grateful and thankful for him taking a moment to just stop me, to humble me before I got on that stage, because it definitely set the tone for my speech. I had a speech written and I still spoke to the main aspects of that speech, but I talked a little bit more than I probably would have had he not stopped me and gave me that lesson that was so unexpected. So Madasi, thank you. And if y'all ever had those kind of encounters where y'all may have thought, I am that girl, and another person who was an elder, now I'm not talking about a hater, all right? I ain't talking about the haters out there. I'm talking about a person who has your best interest at heart and just genuinely wants to speak to you, speak truth to you. Have you ever had that moment where you were humbled by that brief encounter? If so, let me know in the comments. And as always, I hope you all are having an abundantly blessed day. And yeah, until we meet again, take care. Many blessings. Bye.